Chapter 4. Into the shadows. Malaika's vision blurred as rough hands dragged her into a waiting car. The city's neon lights streaked past in a chaotic blur through the tinted windows. She struggled, but the grip on her arms tightened. Relax, a deep voice muttered beside her. It'll be easier for you. The car sped through the narrow streets of Kariobangi, weaving through alleys only locals knew. Malaika took slow, steady breaths, forcing her mind to stay sharp. She counted the turns, noting landmarks and the fleeting glimpses she caught outside. She wouldn't go down without a fight. After what felt like an eternity, the car rolled to a stop. The doors unlocked with a mechanical click. Get out, the voice commanded. Malaika hesitated, her fingers tightening around the flash drive hidden in her pocket. Then, with a deep breath, she stepped into the dimly lit warehouse. The air was thick with the smell of oil and metal and old factory, maybe. Shadows stretched across the walls, cast by flickering fluorescent lights. At the center of the room stood a man in a tailored black suit, the kind that didn't belong in these streets. His silver watch gleamed as he adjusted his cufflinks, his face unreadable. I assume you're the one making trouble, he said, his voice smooth, controlled. Malaika squared her shoulders. The man smiled, but it never reached his eyes. I asked the questions here. He took a slow step forward. You've been asking about Jamal? That's unfortunate. We don't appreciate interference. I just want to know what happened to him. The man sighed, shaking his head. Curiosity is dangerous, Malaika. And now, you have something that doesn't belong to you. His gaze flickered to her pocket. Malaika's heart pounded. If you're going to kill me, just get it over with. The man chuckled, genuinely amused. Kill you? No. We need to know how much you've seen. And who else knows? Two men stepped forward, their intentions clear. But Malaika was ready. With a swift movement, she kicked the nearest thug in the knee, sending him staggering. Using the moment of surprise, she spun and elbowed the other in the ribs. Pain shot through her wrist, but adrenaline dulled it. The suited man barely reacted, simply watching with mild interest as she made a break for the door. She barely made it 3 steps before something hard struck the back of her head. Darkness closed in. Chapter 4. Into the shadows. The last thing Malaika remembered was the searing pain in her leg, the sickening crunch of bone on pavement, and then everything went black. She woke up, disoriented, strapped to a chair in an old abandoned warehouse. Her head pounded, and she could feel the adrenaline slowly draining out of her system, leaving her weak and shaky. Through the haze of pain, medication, and shock, she tried to piece together what had happened. She remembered the argument with Jamal, the heated exchange of words, and the sudden appearance of the goons. She remembered the struggle, the flash of steel, and then nothing. Where was she? What had they done to her? And more importantly, where was Jamal? Had they taken him, too? Suddenly, a tall, ominous figure emerged from the shadows. He was dressed in a pristine black suit, and his face was obscured by the darkness under a wide-brimmed hat. As he approached, Malaika tried to make herself smaller, hoping to avoid detection, but it was too late. Well, what do we have here? He said, his voice smooth and cultured. Sleeping Beauty has finally awakened. Malaika forced herself to meet his gaze directly. Who are you? She demanded, her voice hoarse from pain and disuse. The man chuckled softly. That's not important, he said. What is important is that you're here now, and that means the package has arrived. He gestured to a briefcase at his feet, and Malaika's heart skipped a beat. Was it the flash drive? Had they followed her here? How did he know about the flash drive? The man in black seemed to read her mind. You have something that belongs to us. Something you shouldn't have, he said. And if you don't give it back, we're going to hurt you. Malaika bristled at his words. No matter how dangerous this man was, she wasn't about to let him intimidate her. With a surge of adrenaline, she lunged for the man, knocking him off balance. Startled, he stumbled backward, giving Malaika just enough time to scramble away from the chair and make a run for it. As she burst through the warehouse doors and into the night, she could hear the man shouting for her to stop. She didn't look back, She didn't dare look back. But just as she reached the safety of a nearby alley, a large shape loomed out of the darkness and crashed into her. She cried out as the wind was knocked out of her, and she slumped to the ground, the world spinning around her. Through the haze of pain, she saw the man in black standing over her, his face still hidden in the shadows. "I told you not to run," he said softly. "Now it's time for you to go back." With that, he struck her across the head with the butt of his gun, and everything went black. This chapter ends with Malaika being knocked unconscious, setting the stage for even more danger and intrigue in the next installment.